today we're going to be continuing with unit number 3 for the lesson communication skills for business. Let's just take a look at the outline. So over here, we can see it says over here, understand the factors that impact the effectiveness of communications in business. And under that, we have subtopics. The first one is 3.1. Analyze the impact of relationships found in organizations on effective communications. So we're going to see that if we are communicating effectively, what will be the impact on the organization? Will it be positive? Will it be negative? Obviously, effective communication will have a positive effect. Then we have assess the impact of technology on oral and written communication. So nowadays, how are we able to use our technology? Like, for example, right now, I am also communicating with you guys. I'm communicating orally and also written as well, because I am showing you guys the slides. So how am I using technology to help you guys understand better? Then we have 3M1, evaluate the effectiveness of a range of communications, verbal and nonverbal, in contributing to the success of a specified organization. So as you guys can see, even in when you guys will have an assignment, then over there, you will be asked to use an example of a specific company. Okay, then coming towards Unit 3, that is the first that we discussed, analyze the impact of relationships found in organizations on effective communications. I've missed 3.2. 3.2. Okay, so sorry. Okay, yeah, I just mixed it up. 3.2, assess the impact of non-verbal communication on the effectiveness of oral communication. So how basically, if we are communicating verbally, for example, we communicate through our hands, we communicate with our gestures, and through our body language. So how does it impact on the oral communication? If you guys were able to see me over here, or maybe if we were in a proper classroom, then obviously I would be using my hands, and I would be, how I would be showing you guys the slides and so on. So obviously, whenever I'll be emphasizing on the things, then you guys can see that these are the important things that we have to take care of. Okay, so now coming towards 3.1. So analyze the impact of relationships found in organizations on effective communications. So I would like you guys to contribute. So what are the things that can impact these relationships in an organization? You can take help from the slides as well. And then you can, for example, if someone picks the word favoritism, then you have to explain that how can it impact by giving an example of maybe a manager or an employee. So who would like to contribute? Okay, let me just start with the first one. Okay, so the first one is team cohesion, right? So team cohesion means it refers to a team working together. When you are in a team, you have a sense of belonging, you want to learn, and when the team cohesion is high, team members are more likely to communicate with each other. And when they communicate with each other, there is a better sense of trust, and you are able to share your ideas with each other in a proper and comfortable way. So what will happen, that when there is more team cohesion, then there will be more creativity, there will be better problem solving, and there will be improved solutions to the problems. Whereas if the team cohesion is low, then what will happen? That um, the communication won't be that effective, and there will be misunderstandings and there will be conflicts in the team. So that is why effective communication is important, and effective communication leads to more better team cohesion. Now, do you get the point? Now, someone who can explain the second point, that is personal conflict. And what happens that the person conflict can be between employees, the person conflict can be between an employee and a manager. And what will happen? That this will have a negative impact on both of them. So when individuals they have person conflicts, they will be less likely to communicate. If I am not liking the other person, I will say, I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to talk to her, right? So I won't communicate. When I won't communicate, then obviously misunderstandings, miscommunications, they will increase. And when these things will increase, then obviously we are working in a team, we are working in an organization. So our productivity and our overall organizational success, it will be impacted negatively. Good. Okay. Now, next student who will give me any example on favoritism.
Like a particular employee which who is favorite to the boss or manager, like the management only support the particular person.
Good. Okay. So what happens that favoritism, it occurs when an individual is preferred over others, right? So when there is favoritism, the other employees, they will feel resentment. Resentment means that they will feel that, that person is always in the boss's office, and he or she is getting all the promotions, and he or she is getting all the credit, and we're getting nothing, right? So what will happen then, that when this kind of a behavior is in the organization, then it will lead to conflicts, it will lead to low productivity, the motivation and the morale of other employees will also decrease.
Ma'am, favoritism can also damage the communication because it make
Mhm.
harder for employees to trust each other and cooperate with each other.
Yes, very good. Okay, Hira says, when the boss asks his favorite employee or gives him the chance and other employees feel left out. Yes, very good. Both of you, very good. Okay, now we have the next point, that is hierarchical or line management. So hierarchy basically is a structure of an organization. Anyone who would like to contribute? How can this be affected? It's more or less the same, the points. So I would like a new student now to contribute. If we talk about line management or hierarchy, basically it is the structure in an organization. So what happens when there is effective communication, it also impacts the hierarchy, the management of the organization as well. So where there is rigid hierarchy, the communication may be inhabited between individuals at different levels of the organization, meaning that the manager is like, he is proud of himself, or the employee is like, I know how to do everything. So like this kind of a behavior in the organization. So what happens that there is lack of information sharing. So when there is lack of that, there will be more misunderstandings. However, if there is open communication in the organization, then there is a willingness from everybody to share information across all levels, no matter if it is top level management, middle level management, or even low level management. So that way, communication can be more effective. And the last is culture. So, organizational culture also has a very significant impact on communication. So, when every organization has a different culture. Some organizations, they value open communication, they encourage communication, they encourage feedback, they have a culture of transparency, and that leads to more effective communication. However, if there is an organization that has a culture of secrecy, or there is a lack of trust among the team members, as we had seen in personal conflict or team cohesion, then obviously the communication will have a less effective communication, and that is going to impact the overall success. So when we are talking about organizations and how we can have effective communications, so to have these, we have to overall foster positive relationships, we have to encourage open communication, we have to value transparency, we have to gain feedback from the employees and from all the people from the organization. And that is how an organization can be successful. So, is it clear till here?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, moving on to 3.2, assess the impact of non-verbal communication on the effectiveness of oral communications. Okay, so first of all, can anyone tell me what is non-verbal communication? I even discussed it in the start of the class. What will be the impact? Can anyone tell me that? Communication is form of email, messages, text, and gestures. Okay, so
non-verbal communication.
Yes.
Ma'am, it basically increase the trust, clarity, and what it basically increase the trust and clarity when non-verbal communication is going on.
Yes.
Like it's being if you are being truthful and like we are listening that kind.
Exactly.
Like basically if if we listen to a person and if the person look, move and react, the person you are communicating with, whether you care or not, if you are being truthful, when non-verbal communication signals match up these things, that increases the trust and clarity.
Yeah, good. So basically, in simple words, if we put it, so what is happening, if I give you guys an example. So if someone is talking to me and I'm just using my phone, right? So obviously that would look so rude, and I wouldn't be communicating effectively. I wouldn't be understanding what the other person is telling me. Okay. We had a message from Hira. Communication is form of emails, messages, text. In non-verbal, it's not email, messages, and text. It's only the gestures. Like, how am I using my body language? What is the tone of my voice, and so on. So things like these.
Like
Okay.
like two people are negotiating a deal, and like for instance, I see my opposite person, he's making hand gestures or some things that give me a signal that he is interested or he's not interested. Those can be non-verbal communication, like certain way the people act during the negotiations.
Yes, yes, very good. That is also a very good example that is related to business. Okay. So, now we're going to see the impact. So, the first one is tone of voice. So, the tone of voice that we use during oral communication can convey a lot of information beyond the words themselves. So, for example, how I speak, for example, there are some words that I emphasize on more, meaning that those words are more important, right? Or, for example, if you're talking to somebody and somebody is very happy about something and they're like, yeah, I'm very happy about it. So, you can just understand by the tone that that person is not happy. Maybe they're lying, or maybe they are not really excited about that thing. So, what happens at your tone, it conveys your emotion, it conveys your attitude and your intention. So, for example, a harsh or a very sarcastic tone can undermine the effectiveness of a message. Like, for example, if someone is speaking, but they're like, "Thank you." So, what are they doing? They're harsh. They don't really mean that they're thank you, but they have to say it, right? So, you have to take care of these things. While if we, on the other hand, if we are warm and we say thank you in a very friendly tone, then it can enhance that, and the other person will understand your message more effectively, that okay, this person is thankful to me. Then we have body language. So, body language is also very important in non-verbal communication, like your posture. Are you sitting or standing straight or not? Are you slouched? Your gestures, how are you moving your hands? Your facial expressions, how are you moving your mouth, your eyes? So, all of these things, they convey your emotions and your attitudes, and they can also reinforce the oral message, whatever you're saying. If I'm saying thank you and my face is sad, obviously it contradicts, right? And another example could be, for example, if a speaker and he or she is slouching and avoiding eye contact. So, what we can say is, even if you guys are in class, or if you guys are on your job and you have to present a presentation. So, if you guys are slouching and you guys are trying to hide behind a rostrum, and you guys aren't, having eye contact with everybody, so what is happening, that it is being shown that there is lack of confidence, or you are not interested to do the presentation. So this is how body language plays a very important role. Then we have negative and positive reinforcement of oral message and contradiction of oral message. Okay, so this is one point. Okay. So, what is happening over here, that our non-verbal cues can also reinforce or contradict the oral message. Like, for example, I just told you in the previous example that by looking at your face and then looking at your tone and then you're looking at your body language, you can see that if that person is telling the truth or not, is that person thankful or not. So, for example, if we are nodding in an agreement, and the other person is speaking and you are agreeing with them, you don't have to agree like by saying, you can just nod your head that yeah, I understand your message, right? So this is also how you can, what are you doing, basically you are reinforcing that message. And contradiction is when, the example of thank you that I gave you guys, that the person is harsh but they are thanking the other person. Okay guys, okay. So then we have active listening. So active listening is also another very crucial nonverbal aspect of oral communication, because active listening, it allows not only hearing the words that are being spoken, but also paying attention to the non-verbal cues as well. Like what happens that sometimes, our mother is just saying something, And we were like, yeah, I understand. But after like 2 hours, she asked you that, have you done the dishes? And you were like, oh my God, I forgot. So what you were doing, you were hearing her, but you weren't listening to her. So this is also a very important part of verbal communication. Then we have focusing. So in focusing, what happens is that when you are focused and you're talking to other person, you have to maintain eye contact with the speaker. You have to demonstrate your interest. You have to give feedback to them, like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand, I agree, whatever you're saying, and so on. So all of these non-verbal communication, whether it be your tone, whether it be your body language, a negative or positive reinforcement, or contradiction, so all of these play an important part, and they have to be used appropriately at the right time, at the right place. Okay, are there any questions still here?
No, ma'am.
3.3, assess the impact of technology on oral and written communication. Now, I would like you guys to contribute. What would be the impact? How can technology be used negatively, or how can it be used positively? Come on, hurry up. You can take help from the slides, but you need to contribute.
Okay, negative impact of technology.
Hmm.
The technology doesn't give you the full scope of whatever the meeting or whatever they are talking about sometimes. But
Hmm.
you can say the positive is that it gives you a photographic presentation of projects or the meeting or
Hmm.
etc. But sometimes it
Hmm.
happens because you're giving in a particular one point, one presentation, but there are several people who are taking that presentation with their own understanding.
Hmm.
So that is the
Okay.
negativity. The positivity, you are providing the information to the whole people present at that time. I think it's that is
Okay.
what I understand.
Hmm. Okay, makes sense. Good. Um, we have a message, positive, instant text messages, or like sending files or data to another. Yes, right, Abdul Hanan, this is also correct. Good, very good. Okay, so basically, we know that technology has made communication easier and faster, but it has also has many negative aspects of it as well. One can be that we are very reliant on technology in the sense of meetings and presentations. Like there can be technical glitches. For example, what just happens sometimes that we are having the Zoom class. Sometimes you guys aren't able to see the screen. Sometimes you guys aren't able to hear me. Sometimes there is a lot of noise in the background. So these can be various problems. There can also be a problem with, for example, if we are in a proper hall or an auditorium, there can be issues with the mic, the projectors, and so on. So it can lead to stress as well, that why isn't this working, or sometimes you have to give your presentation and you are in so much stress and anxiety, and when these problems occur, then it gives you more stress. So this can be a few forms of negative technology. Then what we can say is that additionally what happens is that we have so many emails, right? In our email, so many spam emails that can distract us from our work. And also one main thing that when we are in a meeting or in the office, or even in universities when we are presenting, and even I bet this is also happening right now, that I am giving you guys presentations. You guys would have had your laptops on, but on your phone, you guys would be using Instagram or something like that. So, and you guys
No,
would be
ma'am, I'm not using anything.
No, ma'am.
I'm just listening to you very
I'm
carefully.
No, actually, I'm using TikTok right now.
yeah, so exactly my point. So this is also a negative impact of technology. So there are also good students in my class that are focusing on the lecture as well, but there are also students who are immersed in different technological things as well. So this is the negative impact. Then coming towards the positive impact, what happens is basically that we can have clarity of information. Like, I am able to present you guys a slide, or maybe I can present you guys a graph or statistics of anything, and through that you can have a better idea about what we are presenting. So for example, we can use videos, we can use infographics, and they can help the other person to understand the information better. Basically used in a business context. Then also if we take the example of our class as well, that we use slides to communicate, and it helps to it helps you guys to better understand whatever I'm saying. If the screen was blank and I was just blabbering everything, then obviously it would be very difficult for you guys to understand. Then we have conventions in written communications. So you have seen we have formal reports, we have informal reports, emails, letters, texts. Some students even mentioned in the chat at that time as well. So these can be used. So if we talk about the formal reports, they are typically used in business and academia, and they require a more of a formal tone, a structured format, and they require a proper heading, subheading, tables, and you are allowed to use MS Word, your spreadsheet software, your presentation software, so it can enhance the clarity and the main report. Okay, guys. Then we have our emails, our letters, our texts. So these are also another form of communication, and they are not very formal, but they can be in the sense of formal, but they can also have a casual tone. And these forms of written communication allow us to use abbreviations as well. So that is why they are known as a little bit of a formal communication. Then we have greetings, we have sign off, tone, punctuation, grammar, use of first or third person. So when you guys will be taught how to write emails, so you will know that how or who we have to greet, how that specific person is greeted, how will you sign off, what you will write at the end of the email, what will be your tone, will it be formal, will it be friendly, punctuation, you have to take care of your punctuations, and you have to take care of your grammar in your email. And use a first person, like, are you going to write that email or your text as a first person or as a third person? So these are also the things that you have to take care of. Okay. Are there any questions over here?
No.
No,
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. Then we have 3M1, evaluate the effectiveness of a range of communications, verbal and nonverbal, in contributing to the success of a specified organization. So, firstly, we're going to discuss what these things are. So, the first one is clarity, right? So, clarity is basically you can say a critical factor in evaluating the effectiveness of the communication and how it contributes to the success of a specific organization. So, as we have discussed, when the communication is clear, it helps us to reduce misunderstandings, confusion, misinterpretation, and so on. And it says, what it says, the layout length. So, when you are communicating, you have to take care of the layout length. Like, for example, if I am texting someone, obviously the layout length of that message would be small. If I am emailing another person, then the layout length would be a little bit longer. If I am presenting a formal document, then it can be up to as many pages as it can be, right? So, effective communication requires clear purpose, and that purpose should be clearly presented to the recipient. So, for example, there is a company meeting, and what should happen that they have to present something on the slide also. So, the purpose should be communicated at the beginning. Then the agenda should be clearly laid out. What will happen that this will help the discussion to be more focused. Everyone will know that okay, first we will discuss this and this and this. Like I did in the start of the class, what I did was I showed you guys the course outline, and then I showed you that guys said, okay, this is unit number 3. We are going to do that. 3.1, we're going to discuss this. 3.2, we're going to discuss this, and so on. Okay. Okay. So then we have a message received is the same as the one that is sent. So basically, when we are communicating, we want that, for example, if I want you guys to understand something, it should be on the same level that you understand the message. So, for example, if, for example, a manager sends an email to their team members and they have outlined the new project, that what is important, what has to be done, what will be the timeline, what will be the roles and responsibilities. So, if the team members they have a different understanding of the project, what will happen that there will be delays, there will be confusion, and ultimately it will affect the success of the project. So again, over here, active listening comes to the to the rescue. That when we are saying something, we have to ensure we have to ensure that the other person is able to understand what we want them to understand, and the sender should be willing to explain and clarify the points if they are not clear to the recipient. So for example, if I am giving you guys a presentation and if you guys are not understanding something, then you guys have the right to ask me again and again that, ma'am, this is something that we are unable to understand. Please help us to understand this point. So this is the same that also happens in businesses and organizations. Then we have the purpose is achieved, for example, motivational speech, disciplinary letter, and consultative email. So when the message is received and it is understood correctly, then it can help us to better decision making. And what will happen that it will improve our success. So when the purpose is achieved, then we move towards the motivational speech. So for example, this is also a kind of a form of communication. Like you can say that if someone is giving the speech, it should be inspiring, it should be clear, it should be easy to understand, it should have a proper structured, it should not be too long, and it should engage the audience. So this, for example, I also try to do this, that I want to engage you guys in the session. I want you guys to be interactive, I want you guys to answer my questions. So you guys just don't doze off and sleep, right? So this is also what business also wants, an organization also wants, that all the employees, they know that what is happening, they engage their audience, they engage their workforce, and with that they can work harder and contribute to the success of the organization. Then we have disciplinary letter. So this is also a form of written communication that is used to inform an employee if he or she has violated any rules or policies. So the clarity of the clarity of purpose and information is also very critical in disciplinary letter as well. For example, it should be clear, concise, to the point, and we should tell the employee or even the manager if they have violated something, that this is what needs to be done. Like over here, you also need to take care of the layout, the length, the everything. It's not like the employee, for example, um, maybe they took something from the office without permission, and now we have to give them a disciplinary letter, right? So we have to be to the point. It's not like we'll just start with, okay, you have been a good employee for the last 2 years and this was your work, blah blah blah, and then you come to the point, right? So what is happening, that you're not conveying the message. That person would be like, wow, the company needs me, and he will become more proud, and he wouldn't work on his or her problem, and wouldn't take care of the problem that he violated the rule or that policy. So the letter should be appropriate, and it should ensure that the message is received as intended. That is the same thing that we discussed in the second point, that the message received is the same as one that is sent. Then we have consultative email. So it is also a form of written communication. And over here, consultative email is used if you want to seek any advice or any input from your colleagues or your stakeholders. So also for this, the purpose should be there, the information that it has should be important, the message needs to be clear, the message needs to be concise, easy to understand, the layout, the length, everything should be appropriate. So these are just a few examples that they have told us, that how we can have effective communication through all of these different means. Okay,